we accidentally entered a real animal in a talent show. It was supposed to be the easiest school fundraiser of the year, the annual spring talent showcase, and nothing important happens. So, when our drama club promised a fully trained mascot performance, nobody worried too much about the details. We definitely should have checked the details. Because we didn't hire a mascot, we brought a real animal. And within 10 minutes, it had a stage name, a dressing room. Chapter 1. The mascot that wasn't costuming. The annual spring talent showcase, where parents clap politely, kids juggle badly, and nothing important happens. So, when our drama club promised a fully trained mascot performance, nobody worried too much about the details. We definitely should have checked the details. Because we didn't hire a mascot, we brought a real animal. And within 10 minutes, it had a stage name, a dressing room. Chapter 1. The mascot that wasn't costuming. The annual spring talent showcase, and nothing important ever happens. So, when our drama club promised a fully trained mascot performance, nobody bothered to ask follow-up questions. That was normal. Our school ran on optimism and duct tape anyway. We definitely should have asked follow-up questions. Because we didn't hire a mascot, we brought a real animal, and it arrived in a shipping crate behind the auditorium. Like that was completely standard procedure. The crate had stickers all over it. Handle with respect. Nitrogen monoxide flash photography. Kayla said it was definitely professional grade animatronics. Neither of them was right. The crate opened from the inside. A large, gray-furred creature stepped out, stretched like it had been asleep for a very long time, and blinked slowly at all of us. It wore a small red bow tie already fastened neatly around its neck. "Wow," Trevor whispered. "That costume is insane." The creature blinked again. "Animatronics," Kayla said quickly. "It has to be animatronics. There's no way that's..." It signed the liability waiver, not with a pen, with a stamp shaped like a paw print, because then it followed us inside, and then it found the snack table. Someone had left a box of granola bars in the costume storage room. 10 minutes later, wrappers stacked neatly beside it like it had been taught table manners at some point in its life. It finished chewing, nodded once at us, but by then it was too late. "And now," he said proudly, "please welcome our special guest performer, Mr. Whiskers." The curtain opened. Mr. Whiskers stepped onto the stage, gave a perfect theatrical bow, and accepted applause like it had been expecting it the entire time. Dress rehearsal began as a disaster. The microphone screeched every 6 minutes, directly into a painted tree. Mrs. Delgado, our exhausted theater teacher. Then, Mr. Whiskers entered rehearsal. Everything changed immediately. No one understood how it knew the script. Nobody remembered giving it a copy. But the second scene started falling apart. When Jake forgot his dramatic entrance. When Maya missed an emotional beat. Mr. Whiskers tilted its head solidly at precisely the right moment. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. Mrs. Delgado sat down halfway through Act 2 and quietly cried into her clipboard. "I spent 22 years teaching theater," she muttered, "and apparently I've been out-directed by a woodland creature." The strangest part wasn't even the acting. It was the props. The prince's fake sword disappeared and was replaced with a broom handle that somehow looked more dramatic under stage lighting. A plastic goblet became an actual metal cup stolen from the teacher's lounge. The cardboard throne vanished entirely. Mr. Whiskers dragged in, like it had discovered modern minimalism. Nobody argued. Nobody wanted to argue. By the end of rehearsal, the cast had stopped asking questions completely. We simply followed wherever Mr. Whiskers walked. Mrs. Delgado stared at the stage in stunned silence. Then she slowly crossed out student production on the poster schedule. Underneath, she wrote, "Opening night should have been the moment everything fell apart." The auditorium filled faster than usual, and people were standing along the back wall, pretending they weren't. Everyone expected a typical school talent show, awkward dancing, a few missed lines, and at least one microphone feedback screen. Then, Mr. Whiskers walked on stage. It didn't rush. It didn't pose. It simply entered, paused at center stage. The applause started instantly. Too early. Not even its cue. Wasn't reacting to them anymore. They were reacting to it. When scenes began, something even worse happened. A forgotten line became dramatic silence. A missed cue became emotional timing. At some point, Mr. Whiskers turned its head, walked to the edge of the stage, and gently took the producer's pen. Then it left. The producer just stared at his empty. No one clapped for a while after that. Not because it was bad, because they weren't sure they were allowed to. Chapter 4. The accidental star system forms. It belonged to a pattern none of us could describe, brightened only when it did something important. Though nobody had programmed that definition, the soundboard operator started waiting for it to signal before pressing effects. Nobody told him to. It just felt wrong not to. It never sat in it. Somehow, we all adjusted, because it had looked at them too long during rehearsal. No one voted for this system. It just formed, and the strangest part was that everything improved. The production became tighter, sharper, more emotionally precise. Scenes ended exactly when they needed to. No one could explain why. We stopped asking, because every time we did, Mr. Whiskers tilted its head slightly, and we all suddenly remembered our lines better. Chapter 5. The Rival School Incident. The rival school arrived on opening weekend like they were expecting competition. They brought banners, choreographed sabotage. One student even carried a suspicious backpack that kept clinking like glass bottles of chaos. We were nervous. Then, Mr. Whiskers showed up backstage. Nobody told it about the sabotage plan. It didn't need to know. Instead, something went wrong. The glitter froze midair. Not metaphorically, literally. It hovered for a full second, then drifted upward in a slow spiral, forming a perfect heart above center stage. The audience gasped. Someone started crying. We didn't know why. The rival director stood up so fast his chair fell over. "This is cheating," he shouted. "This is completely unfair." Mr. Whiskers looked at him. Just once. No aggression, no expression. He never explained why. Other acts started improving. Not gradually overnight. She had been practicing in another lifetime. The dance group stopped colliding mid-routine. Even the comedy skits began landing. Perfectly timed pauses that no one had rehearsed. We started to suspect inspiration. Then we checked the security footage. Mr. Whiskers had been watching. Not constantly. Just, occasionally. Standing quietly in hallways. Sitting near rehearsal spaces. Observing without interruption. It never interacted. It just looked. And somehow that was enough. The announcer, who used to rush through names like he was being chased by fire, like every student mattered deeply, no one told him to do that either. We were all trying to be good for it, even if no one admitted it out loud. A week later, two men in suits arrived with a briefcase and the energy of people who expected paperwork to obey them. They claimed ownership rights. We laughed. Then they showed us a contract. It had signatures, dates, legal language so dense it felt aggressive, and at the bottom, a paw print, perfectly inked. Principal Morris insisted it was a joke. The lawyers did not laugh. The signature is legally binding unless proven otherwise, one said. Mrs. Delgado squinted at it. It's a paw print. Nobody liked that answer. Before anything could escalate, Mr. Whiskers walked into the room. Then it turned around and left. The lawyers immediately followed it out. We didn't see them again. Their briefcase was left open on the floor. It was empty. Chapter 8. The night the lights stayed on. It started after midnight. The theater lights flicked on by themselves. We weren't supposed to be there, but we went anyway. No script, no cues, no music, just movement. Perfectly timed steps across an empty stage. Pauses that felt deliberate. It repeated a scene from the play, but not exactly. When we entered the auditorium, it didn't stop. It just continued. Ethan whispered, "Is it?" Practicing. No one answered. Mr. Whiskers finished the scene, stood still for a long moment, then walked back to star position, and began again. We left quietly after that, because it felt like interrupting. It would mean interrupting something we weren't supposed to understand yet. Chapter 9. The moment we stopped understanding the show. By the final week, people stopped coming for the story. They came for unpredictability. Every night, something changed. A scene shifted tone. A prop transformed. A character delivered a line they hadn't learned. We were still credited as the cast, but it no longer felt accurate. It felt like we were assisting. The play itself began responding to the audience. Applause timing changed endings. Silence length and monologues. Laughter redirected pacing. At one point, the finale changed completely. We didn't rehearse it. We didn't know it was possible, but the audience stood up before it even ended, like they recognized something they couldn't explain. Backstage, Mrs. Delgado stared at the script. On stage, Mr. Whiskers bowed, and the lights faded exactly on time. Chapter 10. We accidentally entered a real animal in a talent show and it won everything. The final night was supposed to end with awards, not because they forgot their lines, because the concept didn't fit anymore. Silence, then applause, not because someone won. Mr. Whiskers stood center stage. It didn't wait for recognition. It didn't look for approval. It simply existed there. No trophy was given. None was needed. The audience left slowly, like leaving too quickly would break something delicate. Mr. Whiskers was the last to exit. Not dramatically, not slowly, just finished. And for the first time since it arrived, the theater felt ordinary again, which somehow made everything that had happened feel even less explainable.